Hello. And for my final project, I would like to introduce a quote that I chose, which is after nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the things we need most in the world, quoted by Philip Pullman. You know, after reading the quote several times, and the way I interpreted it was that stories are a fourth necessity, and which we need most in this world. Behind necessities such as shelter, nourishment, which is like food and water and, other substances that is natural for sustaining growth and maintaining good health and staying in good condition, good shape. And companionship is just a feeling of fellowship, having a friend, great friendship, just feel like you have someone there when you need them. And with that being said, different types of stories that are out there, just to name a few, are nonfiction, of course, fiction, poems, novels, dramas, and short stories, and etc. But one short story that I would like to take your attention to is Hills Like White Elephants, which is written by Ernest Hemingway. After doing some research on Ernest Hemingway, biog- biography.com, excuse me, biography.com gave me a lengthy bio on Ernest Hemingway and helped me grasp a better understanding for It Hills Like White Elephants. Um, just to give you some background, Ernest Hemingway grew up in northern Michigan, where he learned to, hunt, fish, and just appreciate being outdoors. And then as he grew up and went on to high school, he wanted to go off into the military. Now his father wanted him to go work somewhere else, but he wanted to go to the military. While serving in the military, he was an ambulance driver. And after winning some recognition and medals, he later on suffered in life some injuries that landed him in the hospital around his early 20s, about early 20s, late teens. And there he met a nurse that he wanted to propose marriage to. She became his fiance. And before they had a chance to get married, she then left him for another man. And after he experienced that and felt devastated, he wrote a farewell to arms. And soon after that, Hemingway went on to live his life, and that's when he came across his first real wife and met another young lady, and they got married, and he moved to Paris. Hemingway's later on in life had tons of marriages. He had mistresses, divorces left and right, and it just seemed like from reading his bio, he didn't have a good steady balance with relationships. He really couldn't hold on to a marriage, and that was one key thing that I picked up about Hemingway. And when he published Hills Like White Elephants in 1927, after he got his third divorce, that's when I realized that, the stories that Hemingway was writing and telling about was from his life experiences. So, with that being said, as far as companionship goes, and stories being a fourth necessity right behind companionship, just goes to show that as a writer, you can share your life stories and gain friends and gain someone that can relate to you through your stories. That's why stories is an important necessity to this world. It helps you gain a sense of companionship. And Hills Like White Elephants is just about an American man and his girlfriend that is waiting at a train station in Spain. And while they're waiting at the train station, the American orders beers, and him and his girlfriend sit down, wait for the train, have a couple beers, and just have a normal, couple conversation. Um, Later on in the conversation, American mentions about operation. Right then and there, he doesn't specify what type of operation, and his girlfriend goes on to state that the nearby hills look like quote unquote white elephants. And normal conversation continues on, and the American and his girlfriend bicker back and forth, talking about this operation and subconsciously throwing hints to readers what type of operation it is, and you later on in the story grow a sense of learning that the operation that they are referring to is an abortion. And the old saying where, the elephant's in the room, something that's not seen or not heard, but it's there, is metaphorically connecting to quote unquote the abortion, the baby that is about to come into their life. Now, as you can tell, reading the story, the American does not want the baby in his life, but the girlfriend does, and she emotionally tries to stand up for what she believes is right and wants to continue on with having this child, but the American refuses and he does not want the child. Um, so with that being said, I really wanted to use that story in order to show you how stories connect with personal lives, and how you can illustrate your life on paper, and how other readers and other writers can connect with you and establish that fellowship and that friendship through companionship. And stories is an important necessity to life. It is the fourth necessity of life. Stories are the most important thing in this world. Every day you build a new element, a new chapter to your own story. And being able to live and tell about your story and have other people tell about your story is what keeps the world going around. So thank you for that, and um, yeah, and that will conclude my final project. Thank you.